this week, ministers in the Peace and Security cluster responded to a wide range of questions from MPs in the National Assembly. The first question on the order paper came from Ms. Dean Smuts of the Democratic Alliance. She wanted to know whether the President sought advice from the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development on the appointment of a National Director of Public Prosecutions following the Constitutional Court's confirmation on the invalid appointment of Advocate Mapisa-Nqakula. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Jeff Radebe, was not in the House, but his deputy, Mr. Andries Nel, responded to the questions.
Yes, indeed. I will be answering on behalf of the Minister as he is abroad. As the Honourable Member knows, Section 1791 of the Constitution provides that there is a single national prosecuting authority in the Republic, structured in terms of an Act of Parliament. It consists of a National Director of Public Prosecutions, who is the head of the prosecuting authority and is appointed by the President acting as the head of the National Executive, and also consists of Directors of Public Prosecutions and prosecutors. Advocate Nomnobo Jiba, a Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, has been acting as National Director of Public Prosecutions since December 2011. Advocate Jiba continues to discharge her duties as acting NDPP in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of the Republic. After the Constitutional Court had ruled on the appointment of Advocate Mapisa-Nqakula as NDPP on the 5th of October 2012, the Presidency issued a statement in which it indicated that it respects and will abide by the ruling of the Constitutional Court, which is the highest court in our democracy, and that it would study the judgment. Section 10 of the National Prosecuting Authority Act provides that the President must, in accordance with Section 179 of the Constitution, appoint the National Director. I'm advised that the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development has, at the time of receiving the Honourable Member's question, not received a request for advice from the President of the Republic on the appointment of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. It is worth noting that the NPA consists of one National Director, 4 Deputy National Directors, 9 Directors of Public Prosecutions, and 3,028 prosecutors. The NPA is an integral component of our criminal justice system and, under the leadership of the acting NDPP, continues to make a valuable contribution to ensuring that all in South Africa are safe and feel safe. I thank you.
The DA's Shadow Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Dean Smuts, had a follow-up question.
Mr. Speaker, that is an awfully long-winded way of saying no, the President hasn't yet sought his opinion. So allow me please to ask the Honourable Deputy Minister the following. If the President should consult the Honourable Minister, as he will again, on a chosen candidate whose CV or work history contains unresolved disciplinary issues, will the Honourable Minister once again ignore such issues? I refer, of course, to the fact that he rejected the Public Service Commission's recommendation in April of 2009 when the view of the PSC was solicited by the then Justice Minister, Envasuti, that Advocate Similane should be subjected to a disciplinary inquiry following his performance at the Ginwala inquiry. The Minister rejected that recommendation. I refer also to the abandonment of disciplinary proceedings against the present acting NDPP before her appointment as the acting deputy NDPP. Proceedings against her were abandoned, perhaps as a result of the intercession of the Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister seems to approve of prosecuting heads with disciplinary clouds hanging over their head. I don't need to spell out to the Honourable Deputy Minister that our courts have now said that objective jurisdictional facts must demonstrate the fitness and propriety of an NDPP in order to demonstrate their integrity, conscientiousness, and experience. And therefore, such unresolved disciplinary issues, when hanging over the head of a potential appointee, militates against the requirement of fitness and propriety. Is the Honourable Minister going to ignore disciplinaries once again?
The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that my reply was not long-winded, but in fact comprehensive, and I think it was comprehensive for a very good reason. because it sets out exactly what is required in the Constitution and the law for the President to do when appointing a National Director of Public Prosecutions. And in fact, there is very little that is supplementary in the Honourable Member's question. Rather, it supplements the political points that she has scored elsewhere. So I don't think there is really much to reply to. The Constitution and the law are very clear about both the criteria for the appointment of a National Director as well as the process to be followed. I thank you.
The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Justice and Constitutional Development, Llewellyn Landers, expressed concern on behalf of the committee about the delay in the appointment of a new Director of Public Prosecutions.
Arising from his reply, would the Honourable Deputy Minister agree that the outcomes of the cases against Radovan Krejcir, Andrew Phillips and Dave King, together with the abuse of the plea bargain system that resulted in self-confessed murderers, hitmen and drug kingpins like Glenn Agliotti, Nigel McGurk, amongst others, going free, are clear indications that the National Prosecuting Authority is in desperate need of a National Director, if only to remove any perception that the NPA is rudderless and in crisis.
I think as indicated in my reply, the NDPP, there is one NDPP. No doubt, it is a very important position, but in the structure of the National Prosecuting Authority, there are 4 National Deputy Directors of Prosecutions. There are 9 Provincial Directors of Public Prosecutions, and there are 3,028 prosecutors. The NPA does not consist of the National Director of Public Prosecutions and the National Director of Public Prosecutions alone. Secondly, I think that Advocate Jiba, as an acting National Director of Public Prosecutions, has been conducting the affairs of the National Prosecuting Authority strictly in terms of the Constitution and the law. And the NPA, far from being in any crisis, is in fact making a very valuable contribution to our fight against crime and corruption and to ensuring that all in South Africa are safe and feel safe. Thank you.
Mr. Albert Mqwango of the IFP asked the Minister of Defence and Military Veterans whether one of the South African Navy submarines collided with a harbour wall in East London recently as a result of human error. If not, he wanted the relevant details.
The South African Navy categorically states that none of its submarines had collided with a harbour wall in East London. However, it is hereby confirmed that the South African submarine, the SAS Queen Mujaji 1, did make contact with the sea bottom, mud and sand on the 18th of July 2012 during a routine diving safety drill and hydraulic oil pressure failure exercise. The South African Navy convened a formal board of inquiry to determine all the factors that had given rise to this incident. Furthermore, the board of inquiry did make recommendations on the submarine doctrine utilized, the standard operating procedures, training curricula in force, and made recommendations on possible engineering changes that may have to be implemented on board the 3 SA Navy submarines. A technical investigation has determined that the SAS Queen Mujaji 1 has only suffered an indentation, which is approximately 1.5 million meters by 1.5 meters, to the outer protective plating of 7.8 millimeter on the bow, protecting the main ballast tank number 5. The technical investigation has determined that the submarine has suffered no damage to the pressure hull or any of the systems on board. None of the members of the crew were injured during this incident. All members of the crew were psychologically evaluated after the incident as part of the normal procedure. All formal members of the submarine crew had been sufficiently trained, as was proven by the actions taken after the incident. 3, yes, the South African Navy has instituted a procedure whereby all members of a submarine crew as a team will exercise complex submarine evolutions in a manner ashore on a regular basis before proceeding to sea. I thank you.
Well, that brings us to an end of today's edition of A View from the House. We'll be back on Monday morning with more news and views from Parliament.